Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Red Devils. And we are almost set for Ruben Amorim's first Manchester United game at home as the new manager. As United take on Bodo Glimt tonight in the Europa League. Have to get a win. Have to really start getting going in the Europa League and get ourselves into the next round, because this is a potential opportunity to win trophies, and it's something that Ruben Amorim wants to do. He wants to win titles, and today we're going to be previewing the game, having a look at the press conference that he gave yesterday, some of the key quotes that he spoke about, as well as looking at potentially some of the potential selections and injury updates for the squad as well. So we'll start with some injury news. And yesterday we got a bit of an update coming out of Carrington about the squad and where the squad is and the likes of that. And the main thing is trying to get the defenders back into training. Our centre back sort of crisis when we had Harry Maguire, Martinez, Euro, Evans now also potentially out training. So lots of worries with regards to sort of the defence and how we're going to set up, given the fact that we weren't looking to try and play a back three, wing backs, wings, and the likes of that, a brand new system. And it's frustrating when you've got a brand new system and you don't have the players you really want to be able to use within that system available. So that is something that Ruben Amorim has to negotiate, and it's going to be good to see how he does negotiate with that in the next few games. And it's also a bit of a toss-up now. He's spoken about the fact that he has to rotate and he has to make sure that he is not burning our players, given the fact that we've got lots of games coming up. But he also needs to give players an opportunity to adapt to the system as soon as possible, because we've got some really big games coming up. We've got a League Cup quarterfinal coming up against Spurs, for example. We've got an Arsenal clash. We've got Liverpool coming up in January. We've got City in December. So there's lots of big games coming up and not a lot of time for us to get used to the system. So it's time is of the essence, and they're continuous sort of having to weigh up starting players and giving players opportunities versus getting making sure that they're all fresh to last throughout. Because what we're seeing, for example, in Manchester City is a couple of injuries and then falling apart. And you've got a lot of players complaining about the schedule, but this is where it comes down to the managers to make sure that they are rotating their squads, using the entire squads, because you do have a very big squad available to you. You've got to make sure you use the entire squad appropriately in order to really navigate the tricky period. So in terms of a bit of an injury update, it's not a great update on the Johnny Evans situation. He actually missed training on Wednesday, and we'll wait to see if he actually will feature on Thursday night, but not looking particularly good. The good news, however, is that both Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez were in training on Wednesday as they make a return from injury. And Ruben Amorim has confirmed that Martinez is in fact ready and can take part. Well, he will take part in tonight's clash. Harry Maguire, on the other hand, he is back in training, but not match ready yet. So he said the following. Remember, he said, not Harry, Licha is ready. He said he didn't stop playing too much time, so I feel he is ready. It is a different situation with Harry. We need them both, but they are in a different situation. They are both training. Harry will be on the pitch also. Also, Lenny Euro is back and training at the moment, but not at full fitness. And as a result, will not be involved on Thursday as we kind of weigh up when to sort of start bringing him in and when to start giving him opportunities. Ruben Amorim, speaking about him, said he is available to train, but we are working on his fitness. This is important. He is a young guy. This is a massive club. It's very important, the first image, so we will try to put together because he's a great talent. We believe a lot in him, and we are trying to play the best way to start with Lenny. So, Euro back in training, Maguire back in training, not ready to feature yet. Martinez back in training and ready to be part of the side. In terms of other returns, we saw that Luke Shaw, for example, as well as Tom Malacia are back in the mix. Luke Shaw actually came off the bench and made his comeback, whilst Tom Malacia was an unused substitute, but is a potential option. Kobe Manu as well was an unused sub on the weekend. Very interestingly, the fact it's a new sub. But in terms of what we're sort of expecting to see tonight, let's have a look at the press conference and see what he had to say about the various things. So the big question is, he was asked, what his goals are, and he said, "I just want to win." He said, "Everybody has said it to me. It will be a special time." He said, "I just want to win the game to give that happiness to the supporters. Before the match, it'll be a new sensation, but after the whistle, it will be one more game, and you want to win that match." And then this is very interesting in terms of what we're expecting to see this evening. And he has said, "We have to do it in terms of rotating." He said, "Especially in this moment, because we have a lot of games. We are in the beginning of something. They have to feel they are part of the team. They are international players. We will rotate and we will try to manage to win every game and not just focus on this game. And we'll have a clear idea of how to play. Everybody has to be on the same page." That's very important, not just about, he says, everybody needs the opportunity to play, for example. They need to feel part of the team. They need to play in the system. You don't want to be in a situation where you're going to play the exact same team every single week, and then you get 2 or 3 injuries, and all of a sudden these guys are coming in, and they've actually never played in the system itself so far in match situations, and then they struggle because of a lack of rotation and opportunity. Same things, for example, you've got to let players, get used to the system and prove themselves within the system. So you want to make sure that players are getting chances to play to show that they are good enough, for example, and that they should be backed to get more game time and to play. And you've got to try and work out what's your strongest 11. And you're only going to do that by giving everybody a reasonable opportunity to prove that they should be in that starting 11. And that requires giving people opportunities. In terms of looking at the opponents, now, we look at this evening and we're looking at Bode Glimt, and he said as follows. He said, "I'm expecting a very good team. They can win the league this week, I think. They run a lot, and that's a very good thing for us at the moment. We need to improve that. So we know that in this game, we have to run a lot. They have some special players in the wingers. They can play in the pockets very well. They have the aura of winning games, and this is also because they're winning all the time. I'm expecting a very intense game, a very good game. Hope to see different things, improve some things we didn't do so well in the last game, so it will be a good game." The main thing, isn't it, as a United perspective, is you've got to go out and win. You can't sit there and listen to the fact that, oh no, it's Bode Glimt, so therefore, it could be a good game. No, it's not about that. At the end of the day, it's about getting the victory. And yes, they might win the Norwegian league, for example. It's a much shorter league where they only play 30 games, and so I think this weekend is their final game of the season in the Altasiren, and they currently got a 1-point gap at the top there. But this is a team that we shouldn't be playing against because we shouldn't be in the Europa. So yes, at the moment, this is the level we're at. We are in the Europa League, and we are therefore going to have to take on opponents like a Bode Glimt. But you've got to go in with that Manchester United attitude of, we are a better side than this team, and therefore we've got to go out and do the business against them. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I'm expecting a good game." Nonsense. This is Old Trafford in the midweek game against a Norwegian side. You go out and you get the victory, and you show us exactly why, what it means to be United. Because at the moment, we're sitting with 1 win after 4 games in the Europa. Now, technically, they've got 2. So they are actually above us in the Europa League. But that shouldn't mean anything, really. Clean slate, go out there, get the job done. And last thing I think I really enjoyed out of the press conference is he identified the fact we're just not scoring goals at the moment. That was an issue under Terry Ten Hag. There was an issue on Sunday, to score a goal within the first 5 minutes and then to just not be able to get a second in the next 85 minutes continues to be a major, major problem for United. And until we solve that, you sort of wonder how will we actually ever really cope with it. So he said the following. He said, "Of course, there is concern in the lack of goals this season, but I think we have to improve as a team because we have quality players that can score so many goals. So we will try to improve as a team, and Rasmus and Josh and Rash will score more goals." Interesting name is Josh, who is technically a striker, although when I do my predicted team, I'd like to see him dropping behind that midfield. He said, "Even Bruno has to score more goals. Ahmad has to be better near the goal. All these guys need to improve, and we can score so many goals. You are trying... see if I need a new striker to score goals. And then apparently shook his head. He said, we need to improve as a team and these players can score goals. So interesting in terms of them being asked about the fact they keep talking about they need a striker and you know all the links to Gyökeres and the likes of that in terms of bringing somebody in January, and he's saying we've got the players, they just need to start performing, and he's probably partially right. Rasmus Højlund needs to become a 30-goal striker. Rashford is a 30-goal player, and he needs to sort of hit those levels. Bruno Fernandes needs to start scoring more regularly as well, and then Joshua Zirkzee needs to start scoring full stop, because at the moment he's only scored one goal in that first game, and after that it's not been great. Here's also about the whole Ed Sheeran situation, which Ed Sheeran apologized for when he came across to congratulate them and interrupted the interview. There was a lot of hostility towards the singer, but he very much brushed it off. He said, here you are used to seeing that, but in Portugal it is so different. I think you sometimes overcomplicate things. It was nothing. It was a simple question. Say hello to one of the commentators. So for me, it was nothing. I was just thinking about the game, and I was with Roy Keane. Roy Keane is a real star on that panel, so for me, it was really okay. It was nothing special. So yeah, it's basically just completely move that on. So I like the fact that he's spoken about the fact that we need to improve in front of goal, and he was quizzed a bit more about the idea of bringing in a striker, and this is what he said about when he was quizzed very specifically about bringing in a striker. He said, "Of course, there is a concern in that we're not scoring goals, but I think we have to improve as a team because we have quality players that can score so many goals." He said, "You could feel it in the second half. We controlled the possession of the ball, but we were not dangerous. Maybe because we spent the week trying to work on build-up, and then the rest was not working." He said, "So we'll have to try and improve as a team." He said, "We could score so many goals. You are trying to find out if I need a new striker to score goals. We need to improve as a team in these players. Score the goals mentioned earlier." And he then spoke a little bit about Marcus Rashford, for example, the fact that now he was playing a centre forward. And he said, "I will try to help him," speaking of Rashford. He said, "That position is not the best one for him, especially in a game like that. With high pressure, we had to kick the ball so many times, and he was like fighting with two giants." He says, "So we'll try and find the right solution for him, as for the other players, but it has to be Marcus, first of all, to try and return that moment. And then we will help all the staff, all the club, all the fans, because he is a Manchester United boy. But he has to be the first one to really, really want it." I really like the fact that he's challenging the players. He's not afraid. And look, to be fair, it can go south quite quickly if you start calling players out in inverted commas. But, he's challenged the players, and he's basically said, I believe he can get there, but he's going to have to want to get there themselves. And he's basically said, these are the players that have to score the goals, and we need them to score the goals. And he consistently challenges them to go out and sort of hit the levels that they need to hit and that they're not currently hitting. I think that's the main thing. It's all about the fact that they're not currently hitting those levels. They're not currently playing at a level which is good enough. And until they do, we're going to continue to struggle. Now, his job is to create an environment to get them out of this position, And so, for example, it's very easy to say to Marcus Rashford, "You got to want it," but he's got to make sure that we set up in a way that's going to really help Rashford get back to that form, and give him the confidence to go and score 30 goals and the likes of it. And if you can't create that environment, for example, if you're going to struggle to create that environment, then things aren't really going to change. And I think that's going to be a main sort of part of it is it's got to be a collaborative system where you've got to try and challenge the players, but then set them up to succeed. And you basically say, right, I will set you up to succeed. I will make sure that you're going to get the chances. You will give them the amount of game time, but you then got to take those chances and produce the results. Because if you, for example, go and say, you need to go do it better, and then you play really poor football, or you play a system that doesn't suit players, and you don't really get the system right, then you're not giving them the best opportunity to give them, to get their return out of them, really. And what was quite interesting is the actual an interview with one of the Bodo Glimt players, the goalkeeper actually, who basically explained that basically this is the biggest games to play to go to Old Trafford. And it was quite nice from a United fan to be able to hear something like this. But he said, I don't want to show disrespect to Arsenal and AC Milan, but this will definitely be right up there. He said, when it comes to history and football tradition, it is a big for a club from Northern Norway to face Manchester United. He said, it'll be an exciting match. This is a big game for us. It is a privilege to be here and meet one of the biggest teams and organizations in the world of football. We will go out there and do our best to stick to the plan and enjoy it. And that's the thing, that's why we talk about the fact that you can't try and, talk yourself into believing that Bodo Glimt should have even a chance. You've got to go out there and beat them because they, for example, see how big of a team you are. Time for you to start acting like that kind of team. So now in terms of team selection and the likes, and I want to sort of see what I would like to see tonight, because I think at the moment we've got a system, we've got a lot of players, we don't really know where they fit in. So this is what I would like to see tonight. Now, a player who I think probably will actually get an opportunity tonight is probably Mason Mount. I think we'll have to wait and see if that will be the case. But obviously, I'm going to have it in goals. I'll be very surprised if we go at the end there. In terms of the back three, with no Johnny Evans, I think you have to start Martinez. In which case, he's on the left. I think you have De Ligt in the middle, and then Mazraoui in that right centre back role. Alternatively, you could have Luke Shaw starting, for example. But I think given the fact that Luke Shaw is coming back from another long-term injury, I really wouldn't be rushing to start him. I'd try and give him the opportunity to sort of get back into it. So I've gone with Dallo at sort of that left wing back. Ahmad back in that right wing back position. In the midfield, I've gone with Ugarte and Manu. I think Ugarte will become a sure starter. I think we've got to try and make sure we don't overplay Casemiro. And I'd really like to see Manu get an opportunity. And, we've got players like an Eriksen and Casemiro who can come on later in the game. And Mason Mount, for example, who I think will probably, more likely to play where I've got Xerxes in than what I've got here. But in terms of the two in behind the striker, I think we might see Rashford through the middle once again, to be perfectly honest, and Bruno Fernandes. So we'll probably see a Mason Mount, I'd imagine, or potentially a Garnacho. But I really think that Joshua Xerxes can really operate in that that dual number 10 role. Because I think he calls himself a 9.5, so I think that he will be able to float around, bring other players in behind, for example, play Ahmed down the right, try and get balls into Rashford's feet. And I think if we can start doing that, I think we might see a whole different side of Joshua Xerxes we've not seen just yet. And that excites me. And I really truly believe that that he can still be a big success for United. I don't see any reason why he can't necessarily be a big success. So I really hope that we do see him get an opportunity this evening, because I think we're going to try and get him getting going, because I think he's a potential big player for us. So we have to wait and see. I don't think we'll see that side. It's the side I would like to see, to be honest. So maybe shouldn't have called it a predicted 11. Maybe I should have called it Steve's 11. But I do think you'll probably see Casemiro start. I think we will see Mason Mount potentially start. Could see Luke Shaw start. Could see Rasmus Højlund start. I do think that we might see Rashford through the middle. I'd be very surprised. I don't think you're going to see Rashford in that wingback role. Not convinced he's necessarily going to work in the number 10 role. But I think he will probably actually get an opportunity in all three of those, just to see what it's about and whether or not he could potentially adapt his game to the system in different ways. So what changes do you make to that side? That's the big question. I think the main thing for tonight for me is to not concede a goal. We're going to not concede a goal, and we've got to score 2 or 3. Those are the two things. A 2-3-0 result is what we need tonight. Not a 2-1, not a 3-1, not a 4-1. I prefer a 2-0, for example, over a 4-1, in all honesty. So, I think we're in for a very interesting game tonight. But let me know what you think of the game of the team. Let me know, and by the time you might be watching this, you might have seen the team. So let me know what you think, and please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.